All right, continuing on with just a few more factoids about my personal favorite element, my personal favorite mineral, zinc. We're going to cover some more about prostaglandins here a little bit. Zinc, of course, has something to do with prostaglandins as well. We'll talk about that here momentarily. Zinc is the 30th element on the periodic table. The periodic table is like the alphabet of reality, at least physical reality. Everything in our physical reality, whether it's a bookcase or a table or a cat or a dog or a kidney or a hamburger or whatever, it's all put together from the letters that we call elements that are on the alphabet called the periodic table. The elements function as letters, the periodic table functions as an alphabet, and all of reality, all of physical reality is made up of sequences and patterns of these various letters/elements. Zinc is the 30th of these elements. And I share some characteristics with some of the letters/elements that are located next to it on the alphabet/periodic table. Alphabet equals periodic table, letters equal elements, and there's various elements/letters that are similar to zinc on the periodic table/alphabet. All these elements are technically called the D group elements, not necessary to know that, but they include things like chromium and vanadium and manganese and iron and nickel and copper. Chromium, vanadium, manganese, iron, nickel, and copper, and zinc, these 7 elements, have some very interesting qualities. That kind of reveal their similarity, if you will. For one thing, they're all essential, including nickel, by the way. A lot of folks don't realize that nickel is an essential element. It's only recently gone from being considered a toxin, an allergen, to being considered essential. All 7 of these elements are considered essential, including nickel. And for the most part, these nutrients are active in tiny quantities. And more is not better. In the case of zinc, taking too much zinc can actually cause some of the same side effects as taking too little. Skin breakouts, for example, acne, and other skin conditions are likely from zinc overdoses. Male pattern baldness can ensue if you take too much zinc for too long a period of time. Same with immune suppression. All of these are ironic kind of side effects from taking too much zinc because they're exactly the same side effects as not taking enough zinc. So in the case of zinc anyway, taking too much will give you the same kind of toxicity and side effects as taking too little. That's why you want to make sure that you're pretty much sticking close to 50 milligrams a day of zinc. And this is not to minimize the incredible importance of zinc for hundreds of chemical reactions in the body and many, many different aspects of health. Yes, you can take too much zinc, absolutely. You can take too much iron. You can take too much cobalt. You can take too much manganese and chromium. You can take too much of a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that they're not essential. That doesn't mean they're not vital. That doesn't mean you don't want to be supplementing with them. You do, especially zinc, which is involved in many different aspects of health, including skin health, bone health, digestive health, and the proper functioning of the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. Do you have PMS or so-called dysmenorrhea, bad periods, cramping, or any other female health issue, endometriosis or PCOS? Well, zinc can help you there. In fact, of all the elements, of all the minerals, next to magnesium and perhaps selenium, there is no other mineral on the entire periodic table, there is no other mineral nutrient that can be considered more relevant for female health than zinc. Yes, magnesium and perhaps selenium as well are important, but none of them are more important than zinc. And there's a couple reasons for this when it comes to female reproductive health. For one thing, there's the sugar connection. Zinc is a major, major, major sugar metabolizing mineral. And many of the unpleasantries, cramping and bloating and discomfort, many of these kinds of toxic or side effects, or not side effects, but symptomatic effects associated with PMS and female health problems involve bad processing of sugar, bad sugar metabolism, and zinc is an element of insulin. It's an element that makes your insulin go, essentially. Zinc deficiencies will keep your insulin from working as effectively, and that means poor sugar metabolism. If you're thinking you're a diabetic and you need to be on zinc, you're absolutely right. If you're thinking you're pre-diabetic and you should be on zinc, you're absolutely right. If you're thinking that everybody is pre-diabetic or diabetic, you're absolutely right. Pretty much all adults anyway are pre-diabetic and diabetic or diabetic, which means pretty much all adults will benefit by being on 50 milligrams of zinc. Testosterone, the male hormone testosterone, which women make as well. The female hormone estrogen, which men make as well. Both of these are also zinc dependent, and both of these also affect female health, female reproductive system health. And for guys, zinc is one of the most important supplements for preventing male pattern baldness. Zinc is important for athletes because of its role in muscle building. Zinc is important for bodybuilders or anyone who's interested in building in building muscle. We're all bodybuilders of sorts. We all should be interested in building muscle. Any kind of building, wound healing, pre-surgery, post-surgery, these are all great places to exploit or leverage the power of zinc. And by the way, zinc is also absolutely vital for male prostate health. If you're dealing with BPH, benign prostatic hypertrophy, or any kind of prostate problems, again, you'd be well advised to get yourself on 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate a day. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Okay, a couple more things about zinc, and then we'll move on. Zinc is important for the male reproductive system, the female reproductive system. If you're dealing with, if you're a man and you're dealing with ED issues or libido issues, zinc could be helpful for you there, especially if you have a prostate problem. The prostate is packed with zinc, loaded with zinc, and if you're not getting zinc in a supplement, and you're not getting it in food, chances are you're going to have prostate problems. Chances are you're going to have a lot of health issues because zinc is involved in hundreds of different chemical reactions in the body. As far as sexual performance goes, 50 milligrams a day of zinc can help you there. And this is one of the reasons, by the way, that zinc-containing foods like oysters and organ meats and Rocky Mountain oysters in particular, all of which contain high amounts of zinc. This is one of the reasons these kinds of foods have a reputation for being libido-enhancing foods or sexual performance-enhancing foods. They're all packed with zinc. As far as prostaglandins go, those super important signaling molecules whose deficiencies are associated with immune diseases, autoimmune diseases, inflammatory health issues, zinc plays a role in prostaglandin production. Should be no surprise because zinc is so important for lots of different things. Of course, it's going to be important for prostaglandins. In fact, of all the roles that zinc plays in the body, probably none is more important than zinc's relationship to the production of prostaglandins. In fact, we started talking about zinc a couple weeks ago as part of our discussion on this whole issue of signaling molecules, these chemicals that turn on our 3D printers. That is our cells. Our cells are like 3D printers. They print proteins. If you have a cell, we always say on this program, all disease is cell disease. What we really mean is all disease is 3D printing disease. Our 3D printers are getting messed up. Our 3D printers are printing too much stuff, or our 3D printers are printing the wrong stuff, or our 3D printers are not printing enough stuff. And all of this can be secondary to deficiencies in signaling molecules, switches that turn on the 3D printers. Signaling molecules are a type of commanding. They turn things on. They order our 3D printers to do their works, or to do their work. And this command activity, or this command function of molecules, chemicals in the body, is distinct from nutrition. Prostaglandins are not really nutrition. Nutrition is the raw material. The signaling molecules, the command molecules, the prostaglandins, and also the hormones, they're not nutritional. Nutrients, nutritional elements function as elements that allow chemistry to proceed effectively and efficiently. Command molecules like prostaglandins or signaling molecules or hormones, these are responsible for turning things on, for initiating activity, acting in a sense like on and off switches. Nutrients are the raw materials that allow the printing to coordinate itself and to facilitate itself with ease, but command molecules and signaling molecules, those are the on-off switches. They're made from nutrients, but they are not themselves nutrients. You can't ingest command molecules. You can't ingest signaling molecules the way you ingest foods or nutrients. Command molecules are made from nutrients. They're not raw materials, but rather a produced material. This is not to say that these molecules are not important. This is not to say that these elements, these signaling molecules like prostaglandins, are not key players in health and wellness. They are. And this is not to say that deficiencies in prostaglandins and deficiencies in these signaling molecules don't matter. They do. And in fact, command molecule deficiencies, as we've said so many times in this program, and as I've never heard anybody else talk about on any health show, I've never heard any other alternative practitioners talk about deficiencies in prostaglandins, deficiencies in signaling molecules. But nonetheless, these are associated with many, if not all, chronic degenerative diseases, especially ones that involve inflammation, and especially ones that involve autoimmunity. These command molecules that switch chemistry on are technically called hormones. And while the most well-known hormones are specifically made in glands, and they travel through the blood, they're called endo, meaning inside, endohormones or endocrine hormones. Crin means hormone. Endo means inside, as in inside the blood. Most of the hormones we think about are endocrine hormones. They get produced in a gland like the thyroid or the adrenal gland, perhaps, or the thymus gland, or the pancreas gland in the case of insulin. And then they're made in this gland, and they get squirted out into the blood, and they travel to various cells in the body. These hormones are called endocrine hormones, and they are distinct from other hormones that are made in cells and don't travel through the blood. They're made in cells, and they just react on the cell that makes them. Or perhaps they'll react on a cell that's nearby. They're called paracrine. Para means next to. Or autocrine means the same as. Auto or paracrine hormones are hormones that stay close to the cells that make them. They're quick acting. They're present for a split second, and then they're destroyed, which is a really good thing because their effects are so powerful. They're responsible for all inflammation, growth, repair, contractions, relaxations, opening and closings, clotting and thinning of the blood. All of these roles are initiated, or all of these activities are initiated by these fast-acting prostaglandin-type hormones, or prostaglandins. Other hormones are similar to prostaglandins, paracrine and endocrine. I'm not going to get into the various names of them, but rest assured they're important. They're involved in muscle contraction, muscle movement, blood flow, and the nervous system. They are extremely important. And while they're little known, they're underappreciated. Drug companies know good and well about these substances, and many drugs work. In fact, the best-selling drugs, your non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and aspirin, work by modifying or controlling the effects of these paracrine or endocrine hormones. The most significant type are called eicosanoids. Eicosanoids mean 20. Ico means 20. Eicosanoids are chemicals that have 20 pieces to them. I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. Okay, our phone number today is 855-660-4261. Let's go to Annette, who we left on hold yesterday. Annette in California. What's going on?
I'd like to know if it's a good thing to get a pacemaker for my AFib.
Well, no, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's crazy. Pacemaker's a little piece of electricity in your heart. Are you a cyborg, Annette? Are you a robot? Are you a real person? You're probably a real person. You don't sound like a robot. So don't put electronics in your body if you don't have to. AFib is an electrical conductivity issue. It means that the electricity is not flowing through the heart as effectively, but it's not a primary issue. It's a secondary issue. It follows other things. So your symptoms, your problems, your health issues are not your causes, or not the conditions. We got to work on the condition, Annette. So there's two things with AFib, and by the way, you're in good company. There's many, many millions of Americans who are dealing with AFib, and you're lucky they're not putting you on one of those blood-thinning drugs, because that's what they love to do for folks who have AFib. So two things, and only two things, you got to think about with AFib. One is inflammation, microscopic inflammation that's interfering with the way electricity is conducted in the heart. That's number one. And number two is a manifestation of the stress response, the emergency response. Your body thinks there's an emergency. Now, these two can be related, but I'm going to address them separately. Number one, for the inflammation, we got to figure out what's getting into your body that's causing this microscopic disruption, this microscopic inflammatory response in the heart. Something's getting into your body. Are you with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do things get in?
Is it the parathyroid that is?
No, not quite. And the parathyroid might be involved, but that's not the cause still. There might be some involvement there, but that's not the cause. The parathyroid regulates calcium, and calcium is definitely involved in conduction, but that's not the cause. The cause is going to be, you probably have parathyroid, hyperthyroid or hyperparathyroid?
Hyperparathyroid.
All right, that's because your parathyroid's freaking out. It's trying to get calcium where there's probably no calcium. But that's still secondary. You know, it doesn't do us any good to work on the leaves of the tree if we've got a rotten trunk and rotten roots. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you got to leave. The parathyroid's the leaves and the AFib is the leaves. Now, your boneheaded doctor, your boneheaded medical model, I don't know if your doctor's a bonehead, but certainly the medical model's a bonehead, collectively. That'll address the leaves. It'll say, "Oh, we got to fix your leaves. We'll cut the leaves off. Okay, then you'll be better." Or we'll spray the leaves with some kind of magical spray, and then it'll be painted, and then it'll look like your tree is healthy. No, You got rotten leaves and rotten tree. So we got to work on the leaves in the tree. Number one, what's getting into your body? AFib needs to, number one, always be regarded as a manifestation of something getting into the body, usually through food and the digestive system. Now, Annette, based on the sound of your voice, I'm guessing you're at least in your 50s or 60s, correct?
I'm in my 70s.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, God bless you. Now, Annette, you probably know this if you're in your 70s that you've been having digestive issues for many years. Nobody has AFib without digestive issues. Let me say it again. Nobody has AFib without digestive issues. Period. You can't. It can't happen. Okay? I wasn't yelling at you, Annette, by the way. I was just trying to say that for reinforcement. Any case, look to the digestive system. If you have constipation, which is very common with AFib, very common, then you got to look to foods that are causing that. If you have loose stools, which is less common, you got to look to foods that are causing that. Heartburn, bloating, gas, discomfort, nausea, any of those, you need to link those with foods and then eliminate those foods. The next thing we got to do is start to stabilize bacteria in the gut. Bacteria in the gut produce gases, and when they're out of balance or you don't have enough of the right kind of bacteria, gases can start to get secreted into the bloodstream, and that can also cause problems with the cardiovascular system. So get yourself on the Biolumin Nightly Essence, 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night, and eat fermented product called the Biolumin Nightly Essence. If you call 866-735-2470, 866-735-2470. They can tell you all about the Biolumin Nightly Essence and other products I'm going to tell you about in a moment here. So I want you to stabilize the digestive tract first. I call it the gut, the digestive system.
866-735-2470.
You got it. Perfect.
I call them and I can get this.
Yes, they'll know all about it. It's called the Biolumin Nightly Essence, 3 capsules in the morning, 3 capsules at night. You'll notice that it'll change your digestive habits or your digestive health, and will also improve your AFib. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start to work on whatever is causing the stress response. The first thing is stuff getting into the body. The second thing is the stress response. Right away, Annette, I'm going to give you a tip that is going to eliminate your AFib entirely as long as you're doing this. Now, when you stop doing it, you'll probably have AFib again. But if you could practice slow, deep breathing, you'll notice your heart rate will stabilize, especially if it goes into fibrillation. Lack of oxygen is a major stimulus for fibrillation. Lack of oxygen, hypoxia, low blood oxygen, is a major stimulus for heart problems, including rhythm and fibrillation issues. So simply sitting on the couch, watching TV, and practicing deep, slow breathing can have a dramatic effect on stabilizing the heart rhythm. Keeping sugar intake down and lowering your insulin is another major strategy for keeping the heart in rhythm. Elevated blood sugar, elevated insulin levels are associated with all kinds of heart problems, including rhythm problems. So weaning yourself off of fast-burning sugars, that is bread and pasta and potatoes and cereal and desserts and fruit juices and fruits and all these kinds of foods that spike your blood sugar, is the second thing you want to do. And then the third thing you want to do is get yourself on a good nutritional supplement program, especially the B vitamins, very important for heart health. And if you're not replacing your B vitamins after you go to the bathroom, you're deficient. Potassium, calcium, and magnesium, also extremely important for heart rhythm. And all of these are going to be found in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Vitamin C is not to be marginalized either. And again, those will be found in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Get yourself on the Healthy Start Pack. And don't go away, Annette. I'll tell you how you do that when we come back from our break. If you're on hold, hang tight. We'll get to you when we come back from our break as well. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Don't go away. We'll be back after this. All right, we are back on The Bright Side talking to Annette. I know I gave you lots of information, Annette, and I know I do tend to do that on this program. I'd rather give you more information than less. You can always go to the archive page at brightsideben.com and review everything we just talked about, okay? Annette, you there, ma'am? All right, so first of all, we got to figure AFib, which is considered an epidemic these days, needs to be regarded as a sign of a body in distress, an emergency. This emergency is usually caused by something getting into the system, the body, inappropriately. That is the digestive system usually. So you got to work on the food issue, as we talked about, and then secondly, the blood sugar issue. So two things. right off the bat are food and then blood sugar. You need to use all the nutrients for fixing the digestive system and stabilizing the blood sugar. And then there's the micronutrients that you need. Number one, the B vitamins, extremely important, and the electrolytes, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Every time you go to the bathroom and urinate, you lose these. If you're not replacing them, you're deficient. And deficiencies in the B vitamins and electrolytes, as the name implies, will easily cause electrical issues like AFib. So get on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Call 866-735-2470. In fact, tell them you want the whole Healthy Start Pack to go with the BioLumin Nightly Essence. Then you also want to be practicing your deep breathing techniques, sitting on the couch and practicing slow, deep breathing, maybe a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes a day. It doesn't take much to reoxygenate your blood and make sure you're getting enough oxygen. If you feel like your heart is starting to pump really fast or go out of rhythm, then it's especially important to slow down and sit on the couch and practice your deep breathing. Another thing you can do, and this is not, by the way, this is not just for Annette, this is for everybody out there listening who has heart rhythm problems. The second thing you want to, or the next thing you want to do is see if you can associate your AFib when your heart goes out of rhythm to something you did an hour before, half an hour before, a couple hours before. See if you can associate some kind of lifestyle choice you've made, whether it's a food you've eaten or a condition in your environment, something going on in your life. See if you can link that to the AFib. It could be something, an event. You may notice you're holding your breath, or it may be a specific type of food that you're eating. It may have something to do with your blood sugar going out of whack, as we said earlier. So lots of things you could do. None of them involve a pacemaker. None of them. None of them. If your doctor didn't tell you about any of the stuff I just told you about, and he wants to put a pacemaker in, find another doctor. You understand what I'm saying, ma'am? And I don't mean to be yelling at you. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Lots of stuff you could do.
It was better than one cardiologist wanted to do the shot.
Yeah, they want to.
On
Oh, you know what else in that? Sometimes they want to burn your heart. Sometimes they'll do a cardiac ablation. Well, they'll stick electricity and kill your heart to get it back in rhythm. Now, I don't want to get all freaked out and mad, so I'm not even going to talk about this anymore. I hope I helped you, Annette. God bless you, my dear. Hope everything works out. Okay, God bless. Okay, Kim in Orlando, who we left on hold in the past. What's going on, Kim? How you doing?
Oh, thank you, Ben, for your great work. And please announce if you ever do come to Orlando, because we'll all be there for you.
Thank you, Kim. I absolutely will, and I love Orlando.
Okay, and there's a lot of Northerners coming down now, so you'll get a lot of people. Anyway, two quick questions. I heard you say in the past that you could get hydrochloric acid in drop form from a compounding pharmacist.
Correct.
Do you need a prescription for that?
You know, it depends on your state, and in Florida, I'm pretty sure you do need a prescription for it, yes. But a dentist can write it, or a podiatrist. You don't need to go to a cardiac or GP or a regular doctor. You have your dentist do it, or have your veterinarian do it. A veterinarian can do it, too, for that matter.
Oh, okay. And the second question is, a family member has very severe heartburn to the point where he gets up in the middle of the night and feels like choking and burning. And are there a couple of simple measures?
Yes, a couple. Absolutely. You want to link it up to food, number one, and then also to the stress response, which can be caused by specific foods or also caffeine and sugar. So number one, you want to see if you can associate the heartburn with specific foods, and number two, with stressors, especially caffeine and especially sugar. As far as particular remedies go, which I hate thinking of remedies, but nutritional strategies, I guess would be a better word. The BioLumin Nightly Essence and probiotics can be helpful. You can also use something called mastic gum, M-A-S-T-I-C, mastic gum, and that sometimes has some beneficial effects. And then hydrochloric or HCl drops or apple cider vinegar after meals sometimes helps as well. So there's lots of things you could do, actually. Some folks will use gelatin. Gelatin capsules and the glucogel caps can also help sometimes for folks who have heartburn. So mastic gum, glucogel caps, gelatin, but especially looking for problem foods and linking the heartburn to specific stressors, especially sugar and caffeine. Those are the best strategies.
And possibly alcohol, too, right?
Alcohol is a stressor, too. Absolutely, that can do it. You're right.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, God bless, Kim. Thank you so much for your call. All right, let's go to Eddie in Denver. What's up, Eddie? Welcome to the bright side.
Yes.
Eddie.
Doctor, I thank Mr. Fuchs for taking my call.
Eddie, I can't hear you, though. Am I on speaker? Get me off speaker if I'm on speaker.
Yeah, all right, I'll take you off speaker. Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Only got a couple minutes. What's going on, my friend?
All right. I have a problem.
Eddie, Eddie hung up on me. Eddie dropped. Call back, Eddie. You went away somewhere. Greg in Oklahoma, what's going on?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
My daughter that was diagnosed with as a diabetic in January. She was 7.5 at the time.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
was listening to your report on zinc this morning and processing sugar. And
You want some ideas? It's type 2 diabetes, right? Not autoimmune.
She's type 1.
Okay, type 1 diabetes. All right, a couple things. First of all, type 1 diabetes is a little different from type 2 in the sense that type 1 involves an attack on the pancreas. The body attacks the pancreas. Whenever the immune system attacks itself, you got to look to foods, especially in the case of type 1 diabetes, to dairy. So number one, you're going to want to associate, you're going to want to look for digestive health issues and then link those up to foods. The odds are really good that she was colicky as a baby or she was constipated or anything, digestive symptoms, some kind of digestive symptoms at the age of 7.5.
She was a colic baby. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not psychic here. I'm just telling you how the body breaks down. It breaks down over time. So what you want to do, if she was colicky as a baby and she's got the type 1 diabetes, the chances are pretty good that she's still reacting to some kind of food. Now, she's only 7 or 8, so you're going to have to be observant because she's not going to be able to tell you about her bowel movements or gas or bloating. So you got to be observant. You got to notice how she's reacting to foods. You or mom, if she's complaining about digestive issues, holding her belly, she can't go to the bathroom or she goes too much, link those problems to foods and then eliminate the foods. Then you want to start working on digestive system health. Probably the most important supplement for a kid with type 1 diabetes, at least for the digestive system, is going to be probiotics, good bacteria. Once the bacteria get messed up, then we're off to the disease races. This is the foundation of disease, you guys. The foundation of the pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid of disease is the microbiome. That is the bacteria in the gut. Yes, I know we talk about digestion as being the foundation of disease, but the foundation of the digestive issues in the digestive system is the bacteria. Was she breastfed or cesarean or anything like that?
No, she was natural and she was breastfed.
She was breastfed. Good. So get her on the Biolumin Nightly Essence. Have her take 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules at night. You could take more. It's not going to hurt her to take more. You can't overdose on them. Also, fermented foods. She's only 7.5. She may not like the taste of fermented foods, but if you can get her to like the taste of sauerkraut or miso or tempeh, that will definitely be in her interests. It's absolutely...
Would you enunciate that again? I'm sorry. What kind of food again?
Fermented foods.
Fermented.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Fermented beets, fermented miso, tempeh. Get a book called The Art of Fermentation, and there's lots of great recipes in there, and it explains the whole fermentation process. Very easy to understand. It's a nice reference source, The Art of Fermentation. And then also, it's very important that she gets her water-soluble nutrients, water-soluble electrical nutrients, which are very important for sugar processing, and kids tend to be deficient in these nutrients. Go get yourself the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and make it like a treat for her. You can use it like a Kool-Aid for her and also have her sip on it all day long. You can make popsicles with it by putting it in the freezer. It tastes awesome. Kids love it. You can put it in her smoothies or you can make smoothies with it, and that will help stabilize her blood sugar as well. Wouldn't hurt her to get on the chromium and vanadium either. That's called the Sweeties product from Youngevity. And then make sure she's on her Mighty 90 essential nutrients. Number 1, regarded as a digestive health condition. Number 2, make sure she's getting all of her electrical nutrients. And number 3, make sure you're stabilizing the microbiome with the probiotics and fermented foods. And I hope everything works out for you. God bless. And this is not a curse. There's definitely lots of things that you could do. By the way, magnesium is also a very important nutrient for blood sugar. I forgot to mention that, and that's part of the Healthy Start Pack. Thanks for your call, Greg. Appreciate it. Truth Raider, got about 30 seconds, my friend. What's going on?
Good morning, Pharmacist Man. This is Truth Raider tips for the week.
Quickie, 30 seconds, Truth Raider.
Yes, if you guys are suffering from that pesky toenail fungus, there's a simple cure for it. Eucalyptus ointment.
All right, Truth Raider.
Eucalyptus ointment on your toes, and it'll go away within days.
All right, Truth Raider. Thank you, my friend. God bless, buddy. Have a beautiful day. All right, that was Truth Raider chiming in with the Truth Raider tip. All right, anyway, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. Check me out in Minnesota on November 17th. Love to see you out there. That's November 17th, 2014, 5:30 p.m. at the Faith Tabernacle Gospel Fellowship International Church. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have yourselves a spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.